What is up, guys, and welcome back to another video. And today we're going over 10 things DC wants you to forget about Batman. And without further ado, let's get straight on the list with number 10, Batmite. During the Civil Age, it appeared that comic books seemed to have a very silly vibe, as if writers were just testing the waters on what stuck and what didn't. Because of this, Batmite was introduced, an interesting character to say the least. If you can think of Mr. Mistoplex from the Superman comics, then you have a great general idea of what Batmite is all about. Being a fifth dimensional being, Batmite has an unthinkable amount of power and abilities, yet he does not do a whole lot with them. Rather, he just annoys people by pulling simple pranks and jokes, making him mostly just a nuisance. Compared to Mr. Mix, he's nothing. Even with all his powers, he still chooses to be a bug. And that's probably why DC wants you to forget about him. The odd character was written out a long time ago, but does seem to make unrelated cameos here and there. Number 9, Batman almost had a different look. Many people accredit just about everything about Batman to Bob Kane, but writer Bill Finger also played some massive roles as well. This list includes Batman's origin story, the name Gotham, many of his villain counterparts, and of course, avoiding this travesty. Kane first proposed a light red leotard-wearing blonde man decked out with black wings, boots, and shorts, as well as a small black mask for his eyes. This is just about as far from the menacing all-black costume that conceals just about all of his body today. The Dark Knight nickname is really deserved with the current sleek and stealthy look. We really owe a big thanks to Finger for this one, as Batman just wouldn't hold the same threatening presence around his enemies as he showed us he can. Number 8, Bat Baby. Guess you can call this childish. In Batman 147, we watch Batman as he stands still while being turned into a preschool age version of himself by the terrifyingly named rogue scientist Garth. Apparently, the inspiration behind this transformation was the previous success of the Baby Superman comic immediately before, so the writers must have thought they had a good idea. Needless to say, maybe they should get their inspiration elsewhere. Instead of using this to defeat Batman, the villain simply succeeds in making our hero into a joke around Gotham, which only makes him feel less of a serious character. In addition, the Caped Crusader also adopts the name Bat Baby. Anyways, Bat Baby eventually wins and returns to his natural age. But unfortunately, those who read the comics can never really come back from this stupid story as much as DC might want us to. It might seem cute, but there's really no point in bringing this weird story arc back up again. Number 7, Batman's villain, Kite Man. Judging from Christopher Nolan's Batman trilogy, all the Dark Knight's villains are equally as threatening and evil looking, at least until you see this guy. The Caped Crusader has had his fair share of lame and pointless supervillains, but Kite Man is definitely pretty high up there on the list. For starters, the name, Kite Man. I mean, really, there is nothing less threatening than a child holding a kite floating in the wind. Chuck Brown is a man who loves everything about kites, and his weaponry is based on kites with inventions such as a flashbulb and a net trap kite. His obsession went so far that it forced the Dark Hero to resort to building kite technology to keep up with him. This dumb hero caused Batman to do some pretty dull things, so I think it's safe to say DC wants us to forget about this terrifying Kite Man. Number 6, Hugh Hefner had a pretty big role in Batman history. That's right. The Playboy himself was largely responsible for the creation of the rather silly series of the 60s. With the popularity of the Batman comics reaching some decent heights around the time, this included Hefner's love for our hero as well. Throwing a Batman-themed party in 1965 to celebrate one of the millionaire's favorite superheroes, those who attended dressed up as characters from the childishly toned comics of the time. ABC executive Yale Udoff also happened to be present as well, and upon noticing how much of the party guests loved the goofy style of the Caped Crusader, they decided to pitch it as a TV show. Obviously, the project was greenlit, and so the Adam West starring goofy incarnation of Batman was created. It's strange to think that such a childish series can be traced back to the chief creative officer of Playboy, a rather adult company not meant for children at all. Number 5, Rainbow Batman. Batman is known for his iconic dark colored suit. But in Detective Comics number 241, we see something totally out of the norm. The story goes that Dick Grayson saved the girl's life during a robbery and hurt his arm in the process. The robber saw his face while Grayson saw theirs. Afterwards, he suits up as Robin and plans to pursue the crooks. Meanwhile, Batman is seen wearing different suits of bright colors until he ultimately finds the robbers and defeats them in a rainbow suit. Yes, rainbow. Later, it is explained that the reason why he wore such noticeable colors is because he wanted the attention to be drawn towards him so that the robbers wouldn't have the chance to make the connection that Robin is Dick Grayson if they saw he had a hurt arm. Fortunately, he goes back to the regular suit and the colorful ones were never seen again. Number 4, Robin intended to be a one-off character. Quite likely the most recognizable duo in comic books, Batman and Robin were originally only meant to team up once. This idea originally came from co-Batman creator Bob Kane, who proposed the character, but the editor of the comics decided that the Caped Crusader was doing well enough on his own. The deal was for Robin to make a single appearance and then disappear, but when the issue he first appeared in sold double the installment before, the team knew the Boy Wonder was there to stay. Now, 4 versions later of Batman's sidekick, and it would be hard to imagine it any other way. It makes sense that DC wouldn't want us to be aware of their original plan, as it feels like quite a bit of Batman's popularity in the past can be tied to Robin. Maybe he wouldn't be as popular if it wasn't for his trusty sidekick. Number 3, Batman was addicted to steroids. A superhero is supposed to be the protector of the city's citizens, so when he or she fails, it can be pretty heartbreaking. When Batman was unable to prevent a little girl from being kidnapped, our hero feels shameful and worthless. Because of this, the Caped Crusader decides to try an experimental drug called Venom in hopes that it would make up for the amount of strength and stamina that cost him the young girl. Although it does give him the upper hand when fighting against Bane, there were also some severe side effects from the highly addictive drug. He seems to hallucinate and be more focused on stocking up on the steroids than fighting crime and protecting Gotham. Eventually, the Dark Knight knows that he has a problem and he tells Alfred to lock him in the Batcave for a month so he can get off of the unhealthy habit. Of course, a major comic company doesn't want you to remember idolizing a drug-addicted hero. Number 2, Batman wet his pants. Kevin Smith, popular actor, director, comedian, and more, is infamous for being a jack of all trades. But when it came time for him to write about Batman, he didn't do such a good job. Smith wrote a couple issues, but Batman, the widening gyre, took the brave and heroic man to a new low. In this story, Poison Ivy gives the Crusader a type of marijuana that she personally synthesized, causing him to trip out for a bit. But it gets even weirder than that. Smith had explained that during an important scene from Frank Miller's well-known Year One story, the mighty Batman pissed himself from being scared. Yeah, that's the heroic Batman that we've come to know. Although not canon, it's sure embarrassing to look up to a hero that did that. DC wants us to forget about this and just think of our hero as the unscarable idol he appears to be. Number 1, Batman used to pack heat. With the majority of superheroes having a personal rule about no killing, Batman is no exception. The Dark Knight even takes it a step further with also having a policy against using guns. Although there have been recent examples where this code was broken, in situations where Batman felt it was absolutely necessary, nothing compares to the old Batman. This earlier version was pretty much the exact opposite when it comes to morals. Seen carrying a mix of guns through time, from a small pistol to an automatic, it makes more sense that Batman used to be more heavily modeled as a detective rather than an active crime fighter. For the past decades, however, we've seen Batman transition to someone who hates gun violence, refraining it from it himself. The reason for this has never really been given in full, but theories include the link to his parents' gun death, and the writers thinking that just didn't feel right. And that is it for the video, guys. As always, thanks for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more. Make sure to follow me on Twitter at Valenplana, and I'll see you all later.